Thank you all very much for coming. And I know sometimes, I always say to people, I was talking to some press today, and I said that if Florida is the battleground of the country, you are the battleground of Florida. And I'm sure you would gladly give that title away, particularly about 3 days before any given election. But you know, it is what it is, and you are where you are. And so, having said that, you know, one of the things that we as an organization really learned, I think, and put to practice in the last election cycle is that if we're going to be as powerful as we can be as a community, we have really got to lift our sights up and out of our own backyards and set our sights on those challenges which all across this country are most critical to our community. And one of the things that I was most heartened by last cycle was when I walked into the campaign headquarters of a guy named Bob Casey, who some of you may recognize. He is now a member of the United States Senate from Pennsylvania. He beat Rick Santorum, who many more of you probably recognize, a guy who represented Pennsylvania but got up every single day and thought about making life for our community miserable here in Orlando and every place else across the country. And what I loved when I walked into that campaign was that there were people from Orlando, Florida, who had gotten themselves up to Pennsylvania because they knew how important it was to work to defeat Rick Santorum. And what I fully expect this cycle is that in November, there will be people from Pennsylvania down here working with you to influence the outcome of these elections and to defeat this discriminatory amendment that is likely to be on the ballot. And so that, I think, really is the power of our community, setting our sights all across this country, seeing where the work needs to be done, and not just doing the work, but making our presence known and making ourselves known to the people we're working alongside with, whether it's environmentalists, whether it's labor union members, no matter who it is, as well as to the people that we are helping to elect. Because, you know, we talk a lot about educating people and moving them in the direction of our issues, particularly elected officials. But sometimes we need to remind them that we are a part of the force that put them in office. And just as they, once they get there, have to be accountable to everybody else, they've got to be accountable to us. And they remember that when they see us. When they see us out there knocking on doors, when they see us at volunteer phone banks, when they see us working. And that is what we began in 2006. And as you've seen over the course of the last year, we have moved our agenda in Washington about 3/4 of the way of where we want it to be. And the only thing in front of us is to get a few more friends elected, to get a president elected who is not threatening to veto things like the hate crimes bill and veto things like the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. So we're going to do that work just like this all across the country. But I am here to tell you that priority number one for many members of our community all across this country and for the Human Rights Campaign is to be active right here, not just in Florida, but in Orlando, to make sure that if you are ground zero and not just the battleground for the country, but the battleground here in Orlando, that we are here with you to make sure that we shape the outcome of this election in a way that works for our community. So thank you again for being here, for committing to do this work. You know, it's not fun, and it's not easy, and it's not glamorous, but you all know better than anybody how closely these races can turn and how important it is to be doing what you're doing. So thank you all again, and have a great training.